I'm excited for this one. What is love? Remember that this week we've been looking at some profound books, profound questions that we've been looking at, and I hope that it is helping you reflect and ponder in your own lives. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime. I am super, super excited. What is love? Yes, indeed. This one coming to you from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. They've brought us so many amazing books, but Mac Barnett has brought us so many books, not only with Chronicle, including, of course, the beautiful, the New York Times best-selling Extra Yarn. And of course, we've had our friendly ghost, Leo, here with us. Oh, this one done with Christian Robinson, another one from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. And then, of course, we've dug a hole with Sam and Dave, a beautiful one indeed, one that just makes me laugh so much. I hope that you enjoy this one. And remember that these books, you can find them where you find books, your local libraries. Ask for them at your school, and indeed, hopefully you can find them at your local bookstore. Support those small businesses. They need you. And of course, this one holds a special place in my heart. A polar bear in the snow. This one came with a beautiful note, and I just love it so much. And of course, it is done with the amazing, the multi-talented Sean Harris. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. As you can see, like that's just a snippet of what Mac Barnett has done. But today we will be looking at this one together. But without much ado, I know I could go on and on forever. Oh, it is a lovely, lovely Wednesday today out here in Oakland. And of course, we're bringing this to you on Friday, but it is so nice to be here with Mark. Out, the sun is shining outside and being able to enjoy it together. All right, get ready, get comfortable, get cozy, and please join me in welcoming to Storytime the amazing Mac Barnett. Welcome to Storytime.
Wow, I cannot believe that I am here. It is so good to be with you.
It is such an honor.
No,
it is such an honor. From one Oaklander to another.
A big Oakland day on Storytime today, right here.
I love it, Mac. You know, like one of the things I'll ask you is also too, like I know you're already joining us from Oakland. You live in this historic city, beautiful city. What is it that you love about Oakland?
So, you know, there are so many things I love about Oakland. I grew up in the East Bay. My dad lived in Oakland. My mom in Castro Valley. Went to school in Oakland. One thing I love about Oakland, well, just, all right. I love that you get city and nature together. Right? I like to hike, but then I like to go to a restaurant. Lake Merritt, you get city and nature right in the same spot. And one of my favorite things in Oakland, Lake Merritt, children's fairyland.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to just, because we're having an Oakland time here, we're going to flash some Oakland credentials right now. When I was in fourth grade, and not many people know this about me, but when I was in fourth grade, I worked at Children's Fairyland.
No way.
It's true. It's true.
What did you do?
Well, every weekend I would dress up as Peter Pan and perform in a musical on the Emerald City stage. And then for the rest of the day, our job, there were just a bunch of other kids who were dressed up as characters, and we would run around the park and just like hang out, play, and just sort of be, we're like park characters, but we were just kids, you know? Yeah. And I don't want to get, you know, Valentine's season is upon us. We're talking about what is love today. Look,
yes,
I know not everybody comes to Storytime with Mr. Limata for romance, right? But romance is in the air right now, and so I will tell everyone. And this is the hot gossip right here.
Oh,
but yeah. When I was working at Children's Fairyland,
yeah,
my first girlfriend ever, I was Peter Pan.
Wow.
And she was Alice in Wonderland. So there we go. It had classic will they or won't they? Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland. Everyone's wondering, are they going to get together? You know, it's a real Sam and Diane situation. It happened.
Oh, wow. Wow. And Do we know where where Alice is right now?
We've we've written each other a couple emails over the years, but sadly we've fallen out of touch. You know, too white hot to last. It's burnt out.
I love that story. That is amazing. You know, like, yeah, it is such a beautiful city. I've only been, this is my, I think, 8th year in Oakland right now. And it has grown on me. I love it so much. And yeah, it's just also always interesting to talk to people who've been in the city for so long and just get to hear those, you know, like those beautiful memories.
Oh, can I tell you another favorite thing I have about Oakland? And these aren't everywhere anymore. They used to be more common. We still find them. You know what I really love? Cans in Oakland that are those just the recyclable cardboard that you just like. They've got the Oakland oak tree printed on the side in beautiful green.
Yes.
And if you've ever seen those get collected, you've never seen anything like it. The trash collector comes and takes the entire trash can.
I've not
the whole
seen
thing
that.
Can be recycled. Boom.
I have not seen that. Now you're going to make me go around.
One goes in. That anywhere else. We've been doing that since the 80s, probably before that. I don't know. I wasn't alive before the 80s, but this is what I'm saying. In the 1980s, we were pioneering recyclable trash can technologies that nobody has caught up with.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is amazing.
I don't know if it's true that nobody's caught up with it either. I don't know. And we might not be the only ones to do that.
No, you know, I lived in Baltimore, and Baltimore's motto is greatest city in America. So go with it. Nobody has caught up with Oakland.
Nobody.
I love it. Well, Mac, we'll be back for more conversation. And thank you for the honor, really, to read this book here today. It is such an honor.
Honestly, thank you for the honor of reading it. You know, as kids' books, we often go around and read our books, but we write books for other people to read and to read out loud, and we so rarely get to hear other people read our books. It's one of the greatest pleasures, especially is in your capable hands. So thank you for sharing it today.
I appreciate that, really. I do, and I will do my very best. I love it. And as soon as this one came through, when the amazing Eva Zimmerman sent it, I was just like, you know what? I have to get Mac on this. Oh, well, we'll be back. We'll have you back on the other side of this.
That sounds good.
All right. Oh, my goodness. Get ready, please, for more conversation and more sweet, sweet stories from Mac about our wonderful city and, of course, what he is up to. But, of course, I just love that piece to see what, if you follow Carson Ellis, you know the amazing art, and also to just see this one too. And you can check it, wraps around the book. And I just thought I should show you that. If you do get a chance to be closer with this book, please do check that out. Oh, here we go. Oh, I love it so much. All right. What is love? This one by Mac Barnett and illustrated by Carson Ellis. And of course, reading it with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Please remember, if you do have any questions for Mac, do send them in. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. When I was a boy in the garden out front of the house where we lived, I asked my grandmother, "What is love?" My grandma was old. I thought she would know. Reminds me of my own grandmother. Wise old Celia, love her to bits. She picked me up in her arms and said, "I can't answer that." "Who can?" I asked. "If you go out into the world, you might find an answer." Oh, those sweet hugs from parents. So I went. "Oh, where are you going, young man?" Oh, I love it. I asked the fisherman, What is love? The fisherman smiled. Love is a fish. A fish, I said. Do you think love is a fish? Oh, it glimmers and splashes just out of reach. And the day that you catch it, if you know what you're doing, you give it a kiss and throw it back in the sea. Oh. But I don't like fish, I said. They are slimy and taste bad, and they have creepy eyes. The fisherman sighed. Ah, you do not understand. Oh my. Well, I asked the actor, what is love? The actor smiled. Love is applause. Applause? I asked. It's the hoots of the crowd, the sound of their hands. You stand in the footlights while they all scream your name. Sometimes they throw flowers. At that moment, you know you exist. You are seen. But the crowd leaves, I said. They go home. The actor sighed. You do not understand, young man. Oh my. The quest continues. I asked the cat, what is love? The cat smiled. Indy, out in Illinois, is this you? Are you the wise cat today? Love is the night. The night? I said. That sounded all right. Oh my, cat with the advice. But before the cat could explain, a dog chased it away. Wait, I said, stop. What is love? The dog looked back and said, this. Oh, I wonder what cat would have said after that. I asked the carpenter next, what is love? The carpenter smiled. Love is a house. A house? You hammer and saw and arrange all the planks. It wobbles and creaks, and you alter your plans. But in the end, the thing stands, and you live in it. Oh. Does that sound like love to you? Oh my. I said, I am not allowed to use hammers. Once I busted my thumb. I don't mean a real hammer. I am not talking about thumbs. It got busted real bad. The carpenter sighed. You do not understand. Oh my. Where are we going to get our answer? The farmer told me love is a seed. This soldier told me love is a blade. That soldier told me love is a horse. Oh, but the cart driver said, no, it's a donkey. Oh my, what is love to you? A sports car? A donut? A lizard? Well, I could actually go with a donut. A lizard? A ring? The first snow of winter? A maypole in summer? A grizzly bear? This pebble right here? Is it? These are all things people told me love is. What have people told you love is? Oh my goodness. I asked the poet, what is love? The poet smiled. Oh, I want to hear this. Sit down and I will tell you, he said. A list so long, it goes on for pages. I didn't have time to listen to that. Look at that list. What is love to you? Wait, said the poet. I have not answered your question. You sure haven't, I said. The poet shouted at me. Oh, you do not understand. Oh, the journey continues. And so one day I returned to the house where we lived. The lights were all on. I smelled dinner cooking. My dog barked gladly at me from a window upstairs. Oh, I took off my shoes and I stood in the garden. I curled my toes so they dug into the dirt. I sighed. I didn't hear my grandmother come up behind me. Oh, don't you just love that? I curled my toes so they dug into the dirt. I sighed. I love that. Finally, she said, you have come back. She was older. I was taller. She asked me, did you answer your question? What do you think, kid? Was the question answered? Well, let's find out. I picked her up in my arms. I smiled. I said, yes. Oh, the end. I love that. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. Please stick around for more conversation with Mac Barnett. Welcome back, Mac.
Oh, bravo. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, such a sweet book.
Thank you.
Such a sweet book. It is. Yeah, you know, there are books, and I feel like with Storytime, I've said this so many times, there are books I read for the first time, and I'm just like, I love this. This is going into my collection. The only way I'm going to share it with another student is buying an extra copy that I'm going to put in my classroom. This one goes on my shelf. And this is definitely one of those.
That's an honor. I know what that's
really
like. I know what you're talking about. Wow, thank you.
I really love this book. And I know, you know, like you've worked with many amazing illustrators. I mean, I look at your list. Carson Ellis, John Carson, Sean Harris, Sarah Jacoby, who's also another one of my favorites, Christian Robinson, and the list goes on. So how was it working with Carson? And how was it, even just if you can tap in, how was it working with all the other amazing illustrators?
Well, I have been so lucky with the illustrators I work with, and it's always a little different.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of your audience, I know this is a bunch of picture book experts out there, so they probably know, but most of the time when an author and an illustrator are making a picture book, they're not supposed to talk to each other.
Yes.
Sometimes the author doesn't even get to see any of the art while it's in progress. The author will just see the book when it's finished, and that'll be the first time they see it. Now, that's not usually how I work, but sometimes it is. But with Carson, she and I are good friends, and we've been friends for a long time. We've been friends for, I don't know, 13, 14 years. And the first time we met, all we did was talk about picture books for hours and hours. That we just both think about them. We love them so much. It really unites us. And we wanted to do a picture book together way back then. And over the years, there have been some times where we've almost done one together and then it hasn't quite worked out. Yeah. And now finally, we were able to make this book together. And for me, it was so special.
Yeah.
I just love making a picture book with a good friend. It feels like in some ways the friendship goes into the book. In this case, where the book is about love, I was really making the book with somebody I love. I love Carson. And so to work on this book about what love means to people, it felt very special to have that bond with her.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the other thing is that Carson might be like my favorite living artist. I love her work. And in fact, before I met her, I was a huge fan of her art. Like when I was in college, before I even thought about doing picture books, I had her posters on my wall. I just love Carson's art so much. It always really spoke to me very deeply. And so to have a book with someone I just admire so much, she is an absolute genius, and it was very special. We talked a little bit. We got together and we got together in a little town, like a foggy town on the coast of Oregon, and we walked around and we talked about the book, but then we just talked about other stuff too. We talked a lot about music, and we talked a lot about just our lives. And sometimes we would get on the book and get off topic. But really, I think that like being there in those early phases, we probably were already on the same page, but it really put us in like, we're embarking on this together. Yeah, it was really special to have that moment. And that was like the last little trip I took before COVID started, and I haven't taken a trip again. So
Oh, and this one, like I know that you worked on a polar bear in the snow.
Yes.
With your good friend.
Yes.
So you said friendship shines through in books like this, but I know that this one is also your great competitor.
That's right.
Did the competition shine through?
I'm glad you bring this up. So Sean Harris, who's I know a friend of the show.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And I'm not going to say that we compete in everything, but I do notice that he beat me on to story time with Mr. Limata. I was a little chagrined by that, but whatever. We're not so competitive about everything.
No,
it's not a race.
Yeah.
We've been friends for a long time. He's my best friend. My oldest friend. We've been friends since we were 8 years old. We were on the same soccer team. Probably good we were on the same soccer team, because honestly, two competitive giants like that on an opposite teams.
Yeah.
I don't know that the soccer fields would have been able to handle it. I was not very good at soccer, I'll also say either. My career highlight in soccer was one time I got like a broke away. I was going down the field. I was just dribbling down the field. Everybody's falling off to the side.
Yeah.
Here I go. I'm coming up on the goal. I've evaded all the defenders, and then a yellow jacket stung me in my ear, and I just fell on the ground and started crying. That was the best. That was honestly the best play that I ever made in soccer, and it ended with me crying.
Oh, I laugh because it's just not because of the beast thing, but just it's such a funny moment. I love it. Oh,
but Sean and I. So we have some competitive spots, some flashpoints where we compete. One of them for a long time has been an old video game, Mario Kart 64. We've had a running competition going in Mario Kart 64 for probably about 20 years now. Where we've just been keeping score for 20 years. But our fiercest competition, and this one, speaking of Oakland, this one is a real local news sports news story. Is that Sean and I, we would go every week to the Oakland YMCA, where we would play racquetball. And racquetball, if any of our viewers don't know what racquetball is, it's wild. You go into this room, walls on all sides. It's like it feels like something out of the future, like out of Tron or something. There's like walls everywhere, and there's a little rubber ball, and you take rackets and you bounce them off the walls, and it flies all around, and it's very bright in the room, and the ball makes this little like boom, boom. It feels very intense and futuristic.
Yeah.
And whoever wins the game of racquetball that day, first of all, the loser has to buy the winner lunch, so that's great. And then for 1 week, The winner gets to be the racquetball champion of the Oakland YMCA. Now, in March of 2020, Sean and I played racquetball, and he won, and I bought him lunch, and he was the racquetball king of the Oakland YMCA. Then COVID-19 pandemic starts. Oakland YMCA shuts down. For 2 weeks, he is the racquetball champion of the Oakland YMCA.
Yeah.
3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. He is racquetball champion of the Oakland YMCA. This has never happened before. I don't have a chance to take the title back. Finally, like 4 months ago, Oakland YMCA was reopening. We go in. We present our membership cards. Sean had to reactivate his membership. Because when it was closed, he had taken his membership down. I kept forgetting to do that, so I had just been paying for my Oakland YMCA membership for 2 years while it was closed. That was painful. But they were happy to see me.
Yes.
And we had our gear. I was geared up. I was wearing I was the mean green machine. I had my green racquetball top, long sleeves, and then my short shorts, also green, same material, sort of like a velour. It's really it's good. My green racket, and the woman behind the desk at the Oakland YMCA, she was like, "Why do you have all that racquetball equipment? We're going up to play racquetball." She was like, "Oh no, you're not. We got rid of the racquetball courts."
No. Oh, that is a twist.
What? I've been like this. I'm like, that is the same reaction you did. And she was like, "Yeah, we put weight machines in there." And we were like, "Oh no, we're so sad." And she was like, "Go up and look." I thought that was a weird thing for her to say, to be like, "You should go up and look." But you know what? I think it was good to just see that it was truly over. I think she was taking care of us and just being like, "You should look, because it's gone." Because we were kind of hoping, we're like, maybe they'll dial it back. Maybe this is just temporary. We went up there. There's no going back.
Oh wow.
The wall, one of the walls is gone. Racquetball with only 3 walls. It's full of weight machines, huge machines. There was a guy, sort of like he was sort of up on the machine like this. He was taunting us. So what that means,
I wonder if Sean saw it as being taunted.
Sean was pretty excited, because of course what this meant was that Sean was the permanent racquetball king of the Oakland YMCA, the once and future king. It's impossible to take his title back. So
oh my goodness, I did not know that part. Well, commiseration.
Honestly, I think that it was probably my membership dues during the pandemic that funded the remodel. Yeah. I bought the sledgehammers. I bought the sledgehammers that they used to knock down the wall. I bought that guy's weight machine that he had his leg up on. I bought the rest of the equipment. I can't believe it.
Oh my goodness, that is a great story. Well, I love it. And also, like talking of Sean winning, we've had a wonderful week with this.
Isn't that incredible?
How did that make you feel? I saw your post. It was just such a great feeling to have. But yeah, congratulations to you, Sean. But yeah, what did you think of that, man?
A Caldecott Honor, what a huge achievement in a career. I was so happy for Sean, so proud of him, and just it meant a lot to see his talent recognized that way, because he is such a deep thinker about picture books. He's pushing the picture book in such interesting directions, and he knows and thinks about kids so well and so much, right? He's always thinking about kids, and I think that book really does capture the freshness, the newness, the way that kids experience the world, and especially nature.
Yeah.
I think it's such a beautiful book. And Sean has been sort of like a hidden collaborator on all of my books. He's, as I've been working since I was 21 years old, you know, I'm about to turn 40.
I counted 54 of your books, and I'm
That's
sure
right.
there's more, but
And there's more coming. And there's not a one of those that I haven't sent to Sean in early days and talked over, and he's helped me make them better. He's been such a great reader of my books. So, you know, Sean has 6 books out. This is the first one that he wrote and illustrated.
yeah.
But I've just known him for decades as this extremely thoughtful, extremely gifted thinker about picture books.
Yeah.
And it was just overwhelming to see it, because it's such a tremendous honor. Those shiny stickers, you and I know what that means to kids when they see that sticker on a book and they say, like, look at this one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. I can't wait. I was actually thinking, like, I can't wait to get my copy with the sticker on it. It just feels different.
Yeah, it does.
You know, like I love that. And you mentioned something too with Sean. You mentioned how, you know, you say he's a deep thinker about books, pushing them, you know, pushing it in all different new ways. What for you makes a good story, and what for you, or a great story, and what for you makes a great children's story?
Well, I think, to me, you know, a great piece of art for kids is the same as a great piece of art for adults. To me, what does it do? It gives us some insight, some truth about what it means to be a person, and does so in a way that is beautiful in some way.
Mm-hmm.
There's an aesthetic response too, right? There's an emotional response, an intellectual response, and also like an aesthetic response. It strikes us as interesting to look at and experience it in that way too. But I think that the experience of being a kid is very different from the experience of being an adult, right? Kids exist in the world. Their brains work differently from us, and they experience the world very differently from the way that we do. And so that makes it a little tricky, because the truth about the world is different. A kid will sometimes have a different truth from an adult. Sometimes it will be the same. Sometimes it might be different. So I think it's really important that kids' books, even though written by adults, published by adults, often read out loud by adults. I think a great kids' book has to be on the kids' side. That we take the side of the kids in this thing. We're not necessarily, we're not trying to inflict the world of adulthood on them. We're listening to them and saying, like, we understand this. We remember what that was like, or even if we can't remember, we see this happen and we understand how that might feel weird.
Yes.
And I think that's what good kids books do. They somehow make it back across that gulf that separates adulthood from childhood, and really, and they exist in the world of childhood.
Yeah, no, I love that. And Mac, I see that, you know, like I feel that in your books. I see it. Sam and Dave Dig a Hole. It has that, it kind of almost like ridiculousness to it that just appeals. And having, you know, working around children, and I hear how they talk, I listen into conversations and you get to see, like, oh yeah, this is how I can picture this conversation happening. And even in Extra Yarn, you do mention in there too, I think you mentioned how when, what's the girl's name in Extra Yarn? Annabelle, when she refuses the offer from the Archduke. And I love that he brought the Archduke. I want to dig more into that at some point. But also, you mentioned the Archduke, and when he goes back, the bringing in of the robbers. I thought that was, it's stories I've read in the classroom, like with kids when they do write their fiction stories, it's like, oh my goodness. And so seeing that, how much...
Oh, that's so, I love that you bring that up too, because for me, you know, some people see that they enter kids' books, they get uncomfortable with that. Like they'll say, like, a robber? I don't want to read kids a book with a robber in it. And that happens. Leo also has a robber. And people will say, like, somebody breaks into this house at night, but But here's the thing that this happens in the world. This happens in homes that kids live in. And also, even if it doesn't happen, kids think about this stuff.
Yes.
And the way that we make sense of the things that make us so happy, the things that we think are so funny, but also the things that make us really sad, or the things that we worry about when we are awake at night. These things belong in our stories. And I was terrified of somebody breaking into my house as a kid. I was terrified of being kidnapped. I loved to read books about kidnappings and kid detectives getting kidnapped by the bad guys. I loved it. And I would write stories about it too. It's how we work all this stuff out and make sense of a world that is hard to make sense of. Anything that a kid thinks about or feels or experiences, that belongs in kids' literature, you know? It's allowed to be in there because they're already thinking about it. In fact, it's our obligation to not in every single book, but in literature as a whole, we should have the full experience of childhood.
Oh, absolutely. No, I love it. And just, you know, for those that are joining us, just a reminder that today we're joined by award-winning author, New York Times bestselling author, Mac Barnett. And of course, we read his new book, his latest book that he did with the amazing Carson Ellis. And this one is called What is Love? And if I can't read this book without thinking, what is love?
It's a little bit.
And please do follow Mark. You can follow him and find out more of what he's doing, what he's up to on Instagram at Mac Barnett. And then, of course, you can find him too at the website, macbarnett.com. And you can find out all the new books, all the material that is happening there. But you do on his Instagram, he also has the Mac Barnett Book Club book show. I love that. And I hope that kids out there, adults out there, you can get to enjoy this and really follow in, laugh along. One of the things that comes out in that is the library jokes. Please tell us what those are and
so
how it came about.
Used to be every day, then every week, and now just every so often on my Instagram, Mac's Book Club show happens. It's a book club. We read a book, we talk about it, but you know, we do some other stuff while we hang out on the show. And one of the things that we do every time we meet is that I will read some jokes that kids send in. Often these are jokes that kids write themselves. I love that. I love to read a joke that kids write themselves, and we share some laughs. But we do have a little tradition, and this is where it gets a little spicy on the book club show. And look, a lot of kids out there watch the show, adults, animals, but also there's some librarians out there who watch the show, you know, and that's great. I love librarians. I love the library, and I think librarians are so important to our society.
Oh yeah.
But I will say that a kid very early on, kid in Amsterdam sent in a joke about a librarian, and I was very worried, you know, because this kind of edgy comedy about librarians, I didn't want to offend any of our audience, but at the same time, you know, one, we're devoted to edgy comedy on the book club show, so we will tell librarian jokes every week, and it gets a little wild, you know, things like did you hear about the airplane that was sold out with librarians?
No.
It was fully booked. And look, I don't want to offend. Again, I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend. At the same time, I didn't write these jokes. Kids sent them in, and we're devoted to a few things on Mac's Book Club show.
Yeah.
You know? Absolutely. A lifelong love of reading. 100%. But also comedy. So what do you do? What do you do when that happens? You just go. You just go. Yes. You know? Sometimes librarians will send in jokes themselves about librarians. And that's a very special, a librarian who likes edgy comedy. I remember one librarian sent this joke in. And again, you know, apologies to any librarians who are offended. But why do librarians love librarian jokes?
Ooh.
They always get the reference. Good. It's a good joke.
That is
A librarian sent that in. I couldn't believe it.
yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, that is lovely. I love it. And just while we're talking about librarians, a big shout out to my good friend Jen Vedder, librarian at Emerson Elementary. Love you to bits. You know, like so many books that she just shares with me. It's like, have you seen this one? You should try this one. It's just amazing having her at Emerson. And
that's
also,
my favorite kind of librarian that you're talking about. The librarian who says, you haven't seen this yet. You need to see this. Who doesn't just help you find what you're looking for, but helps you find something you didn't even know you were looking for.
Exactly.
Isn't that amazing?
Exactly. No, I love it. And then also Sarah Forster out at Berlin Library in Massachusetts. Love it. Thank you. Thank you you just brought back, brought to memory those amazing people. And I love it. I love, like your humor in the books. I love watching the book club show, and not always live. I do try and, catch it. And sometimes I'll just be working at home and just put it on. And it's in the background and I'm listening in, just laughing and just, enjoying it. And even when you had, when you did your art with Carson Ellis, I was following in on that. And it was just so lovely to be with that. But, another thing that I've seen, I mean, your childhood shines through in your books, like I've mentioned earlier, but also just seeing how even on your website, you put your childhood picture. And I love that. It just shows that somebody who has a great memories. That's my interpretation of it, like having great connections, having great memories of it and wanting to share that with everybody else. But you've also written in your books, each book is dedicated, and I've not seen all 54 dedications, but from the ones that I've been able to see, I see that every time your dedication has been to a specific person. This one in What is Love, it is to Taylor, the amazing
That's
Taylor.
True.
And then I saw too, I was like, okay, let me see what he's done. And then in this one too, I see it in the bear, the polar bear in the snow. This one you dedicated, and I'm sure you know this already, but it went to Greg Pizzoli. And I was just looking at the other ones. You have one that goes to Taylor, Carson Ellis. You also have John Klassen. You have Stephen Malik. So I was wondering as I was looking at that, why do you dedicate them to specific people? And how did that start?
That's a good question. I think that a book dedication is a special thing. You get to thank somebody who's really important in your life. And that might be a friend who helped you. It might be a family member who you love. It might be a teacher that you had. And it might be another writer or artist who inspires you. And those are all categories of people who I have thanked. I think it's one of the most fun parts about being a writer, because it's hard work writing a story. I find it hard, at least. It's not always a joyful thing for me to sit down and write, but it's a joyful thing for me to be done writing. And it's really fun to think, who am I going to dedicate this book to? And it doesn't have to be a book, by the way. You can dedicate a poem to somebody. You can dedicate your homework to somebody, it's a way of recognizing somebody who's important in your life. And
kids, with your homework, always dedicate it to your teacher.
That's right. And dedicate some books to your teacher too.
Oh yeah, sorry, you were saying.
No, I think you nailed it.
I love that. No, this is because it was something that definitely, just stood out. And now that you've put it with that, mentioning this, because we don't see what goes on behind the scenes, right? Like there's all this hard work that goes into it, the years that it takes for it to finally come out. And so to dedicate that to somebody is extra special. And I definitely, gives me a different light on those dedications, a different light to the book itself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's cool. I think that's cool that you pay attention to that. Some people skip right over that stuff, but there are all kinds of little interesting secrets hidden in a book, at the front or underneath the jacket, like you showed. if you poke around in a book, you'll find all kinds of interesting little bits.
Yeah. No, this talking to Victoria Rock from Chronicle. I think my conversation with her and also with Taylor, those opened up my thinking about books in ways that I had not before. Like with kids, yes, I was at one point, kids reminded me to pause and look at the pictures a little more closely because they always notice something new or something extra. But to also talk about it and see how even end papers had this deliberateness to them, like this deliberate approach in making them a certain way, and it just really made me appreciate the work that goes into it and the things that you see, because you just, you look at it, you hold it, and it's just like, oh, why did they go with that color? Why did they go with this? And it's just so powerful to see that, how dedicated you all are in giving us these amazing books. Like somebody I think referred to as a 22-page a 32-page catalog, a 32-page gallery, and I thought I loved that.
Well, I think that's right. They seem short. There aren't many words, and some people think that because it's for kids, it's gonna be easy. But we spend so much time books and thinking about every decision and trying to make them exactly like we want to make them. And you don't always get to exactly the idea that's in your head, but we're very careful making these decisions, and we think about these books a lot. And something that I like about writing for children is children think about books a lot. They're the only audience who's going to put as much effort thinking about the books that they read as we writers are putting into thinking about the books that we write. Adults don't often do that. They don't think about books as carefully or as much as kids do. And many adults think it's the opposite. We love to think as adults that we're so smart and that kids are so careless.
Yes.
But if you spend time reading stories to kids, when a story means something for a kid, they'll think about that story all the way home. Think about it when they're home, and they will think about that story for the next 20, 30, 40 years of our lives. The stories that we read as kids that really hit us, I'm still working on books that I read as a kid, thinking them over in my head, wondering, why is that book so special? Why did that book mean so much to me? What is it about that book that really spoke to me? What is the magic? Greatest honor, because just like you said, sometimes we spend years making these things, and it's amazing that kids will spend years thinking about them.
No, it is so true. And there are many times, I remember a few times where I would almost like I'm on a floor, I'm on this, like on a row, and this kid is just like, can you go back to that page? I was like, right now? Yes, but they want to say something, and I've been trying to really make sure that I give that space for those such gold when it comes up and they share it.
The care that kids have for pictures, especially, right? And for us, I feel like when we're reading books out loud to kids, you're just trying not to like mess up the words and embarrass yourself in front of a bunch of kids, right? We're so stressed. Am I doing this right? Do I have everybody's attention? Am I keeping it interesting? Wait, which voice did I use for this character? I don't want to change my character's voice halfway through. Kids are sitting there the whole time listening, looking at all those pictures, noticing all kinds of tiny details that we'll miss. I've read picture books to kids in a gymnasium. Like I've been by the basketball hoop, and a kid who is at like the 3-point line will see something something really tiny, just like, and be like, go back. What is that? What is that? You're like, how do you?
What is better than 20/20 vision? What could be? But no, that's so true. And Mark, I know too, so many, we could go on forever. I hope that we get you back here sometime, just more conversation, but also just wondering too, like, you're now a new dad, you're a parent. How has that changed your writing, your creative process? And then another one too, will your characters ever cross? Do they ever cross? I know you mentioned Polar Bear in here, and I was thinking, oh, Polar Bear, but just wondering.
Yeah, okay, good question. Okay, so on the characters crossover, yes, it's happened before. There have been some little crossovers that happen, especially in my chapter books.
Yeah.
And they're like little ideas that keep coming up and things that I keep working on in different ways, and that sometimes crosses over too. In terms of being a dad, so my son is very young. My wife and I had a son 9 months ago. He turned 9 months old 2 days ago.
Already?
So he's a little guy.
I feel like it was yesterday when you posted the picture.
Yeah. You can see the top of his head, right? Is that what you saw? When Sean posted the picture of us watching the announcement. It's true. It's true. You know, probably you're probably not supposed to show a 9-month-old a TV screen. That's probably the American Pediatric Association would not recommend. However, I do believe there is an exception for the American Library Association's award ceremony presenting and recognizing the best in children's books.
Yes. Yeah.
Allowed to watch that screen. Don't at me. I don't want the angry DMs coming in. What are you doing showing that kid the TV? We're building, once again, a lifelong love of reading. That's it. That and then edgy comedy. The two values. The two values.
Oh,
no. So how has that changed my writing? You know, it's a weird thing. I think being a father is a little different from being a kid's book writer. It's a different set of responsibilities.
Right.
And sometimes it's complementary.
Yes.
But sometimes as a kid's book writer, you have to do something that's different from what a teacher's job is, or a parent or a caregiver's job is. You're up to something else. And I think that we're all in the same project, which is like, how do we help kids understand what it means to be a person? And really, like, I'm still in that project myself, right? Like, how do I understand what it means to be a person and to be a good person? But the way that art does that is different from the way that a caregiver might do that, or a teacher might do that, or maybe a religious figure in a kid's life might take another approach as well. Books do it differently. And so the jobs, I think, it's going to be interesting reading books with him and seeing this person I think about so much, to see the way that he reacts to books and what is interesting to him. But my role as a father to him is different from my role to children generally as a kid's book writer.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. No, congratulations on your little one. It's just been amazing, like I was so happy for you all, and especially after talking to Taylor, and I think that was pretty close to the due date, and just seeing that, it's just been kind of just celebrating with you from the side, sidelines, and I love it. Like just from hearing from friends and family and everybody, just how much of a joy it is. And so, I'm just so happy for you both.
Thank you. He is a joy. It is so wonderful having him around. We're having a lot of fun.
Oh, I love that. And how has been your sleep?
He's such a good sleeper. He sleeps 12 hours a night every night.
Oh, amazing. Knock on wood, may that continue.
No, I know. It's so, I feel he's been, for 6 months, he's been sleeping 12 hours a night. So we're very lucky there. Lucky there.
Oh, that is amazing. Well, like from your amazing little one, I know that you have this new baby that is there. See my transition there?
Yeah, all through. By the way, I just, as a long-time watcher, I have to say, I feel like your transitions are underrated. Your transitions, you're always on it. You're always on it. Yeah.
Lydia Yamaguchi will tell you there's always this, like, I'll be like, oh, that was so good. Or like, I'll go something, I was like, oh my goodness, did I just do that? But yeah, no, congratulations on this one. And, like, to be in a career that you love and to work with people that you love, I think nothing beats that. And just congratulations on that. And also, like, before we let you go, back to more of your creativity, like just wishing you many, may this, like this flowing of this creativity continue, like I just hope that it continues and just, continue blessing us with your amazing work, like.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that wish. And I wish the same to you.
Thank you. Yeah. So before, you go, what do you have? What inspired this book? And also, what do you have, like what inspired the book? What do you have for everybody out there? Just what's your, like your advice, your sharing, anything that you feel our little ones and adults, of course, the young at heart that are joining us there.
I think that this book was inspired, one, by just anyone, and I'm sure you know this too, Mr. Limata, anyone who spends time around kids, kids ask really big questions that are very hard to answer. Big questions about life. What is love? What happens after we die? Why do bad things happen in the world? These questions that are so hard to answer that I struggle to answer as an adult. But you know what? As a writers for centuries, these are questions that writers have sat in front of the page and tried to answer. These are questions that artists, poets, they try to answer with their work. And kids ask them just very directly. This question, what is love, is a question that really bugged me when I was a kid. I heard adults talking about love all the time, and I was like, what is this thing they're talking about? What's love? What do they mean? What do they mean? And I would ask them, like, what do you mean? Because I was really worried. I was like, do I love anybody? Am I going to fall in love? How am I going to know if I fall in love? What's that feeling? What is that like? And I would ask adults, and they wouldn't be able to give me a good answer. It's so hard, right? And it's so hard to put a feeling to words. And I think that's really at the heart of this book. One, love means different things to different people. Love means different things even to the same person, right? And sometimes when something is really hard to describe, we'll use a metaphor. We'll compare it to something else. And that's what all the adults do in this story. They compare love to a fish or a house or applause or a sports car. Because that's what we do when we try to take something abstract and we compare it to something concrete. But I tell you, as a writer, I'm kind of suspicious of language too. I think language is very powerful, but also very tricky. And sometimes it doesn't do the jobs we try to get it to do. So it's a book that's about the power of language, but also about the limits of language. And I think that the answer, when it comes in this book, it really comes in the pictures. And I think that that's a very powerful thing about pictures.
No, you remind me of this. And talking about, you mentioned how some things stick with us as kids that last us throughout our life. There's one, you explained that, and it reminds me of this artist, this musician in Zambia. His name is Ballad Zulu. And one time he was asked, and I was watching TV, I remember, I was maybe 7, 8, and he was asked, he'd done a song in a local language, and I think the title was something like Kolioliwela or something like that. And so he was asked, it's like, what does that mean? Because, like Zambia has multiple languages. So this person was trying to understand what that meant. And he was like, this is too rich a word for me to put into English. I cannot explain it. It's just that. And so every time there are moments like now when you say that, I'm just like, it takes me back to that and thinking how sometimes I come across things and I'm like, this does not translate, or this cannot be put into words. And so, I appreciate that.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that memory.
Thank you so much, Mac, for being here with us today on Story Time.
Thank you for having me. It truly is an honor, and it was a lot of fun too.
And
not all honors are fun. So
it's true. That is true. That is true. Oh my goodness! Now you've added another layer to my thinking. Yes, no, next time for sure now I'll be thinking how to qualify when I'm honored for something. find something. All right. Oh, thank you, Mac. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Oh my goodness. Please, we'll catch you on the other side. Oh my goodness. Everybody that was joining us, this has been Mac Barnett joining us here for story time. I hope you enjoyed the wonderful book, first of all, that we read. And this one is What is Love? This one from Mac Barnett and, of course, Carson Ellis. And it is read with permission and published by Chronicle Books of San Francisco.